Hey again everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the Thrustmaster SF1000 Edition Ferrari wheel rim, which you can attach to any of the T-Series Thrustmaster wheelbases. And thanks to NZGaming I have this opportunity, so if you're from New Zealand and you're looking to get anything sim racing related or gaming related even, then check out NZGaming. So we're going to get right into it here. There's not a huge amount to talk about because we're not talking about a wheelbase here today, we're just talking about the wheel rim, and my lighting on the camera isn't fantastic here today, but it's about the best I'm going to get for now. And for this video, we're going to be taking a look at this wheel on Gran Turismo 7. And in terms of button mapping, it's kind of limited on Gran Turismo 7 because you can't seem to change it. I haven't found a way to do it. If you're going to be using this wheel for Gran Turismo or PlayStation Sims, then be sure to check out the link I've left in the description to the Thrustmaster website with this wheel, because they leave a layout of the button mappings for PlayStation and Gran Turismo. Because quite clearly there's no X, square, triangle, circle buttons on the wheel. You just have to follow the mappings that they've put on the picture that I should have on screen now. They've got that on the website. And they've even got default button mappings for other games, even on PC as well. So make sure to check out that if you get a bit lost with the button mappings. And right now I'm just going to bring up a picture of the Gran Turismo 7 button mapping layout. So we've got 25 assignable buttons and rotary dials on this wheel, including the two just by our thumbs here. This is a replica of the Ferrari SF1000 steering wheel. However, it doesn't seem 100% true to the real life wheel, as the real life one had a couple more rotary dials just above where your thumbs sit here and closer to the side. This wheel doesn't seem to have those ones, but it's still close enough. And another thing to note is that it's got these three rotary dials in the middle, including the Ferrari one. These three closest to the screen are not actually assignable to anything. They are only used for controlling the LCD screen in the middle of the steering wheel. So if we press the left one, for example, it's going to bring up the menu for the screen, and we can use the thumbstick on the left to navigate up and down. We can adjust brightness, even measuring settings, so we can even go in here and adjust measuring units, and we can see the wheel's details as well. And we use both the button on the left and the Ferrari button along with the stick button on the left to control what's happening inside the menu there. And outside of that menu, we can use both the dials on each side of the Ferrari dial to switch between different layouts on the screen while we're driving. Currently there's no info being displayed because we're not driving. And we can do the same with the one on the right. We can go through a bit of different information as we drive. You'll see it in a moment, but most of it displays either your speed, maybe your revs, if your DRS is active, or ERS if you're using an F1 game, tire wear, and even your temperatures if you're on the right menu. And if you press it in, you change between light and dark mode. And the other dial that's a little bit different is the one at the very bottom here. I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera, but this you can't really assign to anything, but it does change the functions of what should be the clutch pedals on the rear of the rim. Now you can't really see that on the camera, but I should be able to bring up a picture on the screen to show what I'm talking about. We have two sets of pedals on the rear, the top ones being your pedal shift, and then the ones at the bottom will generally be your clutch pedals. But by default, with this button on the bottom here, the bottom of the steering wheel, set to number 1, that will have both these clutch pedals assigned. On the right it will be assigned to an accelerator, and on the left is assigned to brakes. So that's really handy. For example, if you have a disability with your legs and you can't use pedals, then you can use these pedals at the bottom to both accelerate and brake. And again, on the Thrustmaster website you'll be able to see what the other modes do, but from memory the third mode is the one which sets both these pedals to usable clutches. So those are really useful, for example, when you're in a Formula car and you want to use pedal clutches like they do in real life. And of course you don't see it just yet, but we will in a minute. We have the rev lights at the top which will light up and they look fantastic. And while we're not driving, the actual shifters on the wheel are very well made, I think, especially compared to the standard wheel rim you get with the TGT2. These ones have a lot of a softer click to them, which feel a lot reminiscent of the Logitech G29 pedals, which are very soft and you don't feel much of a click when you pull them in. But with this SF1000, the pedals, they're a lot heavier when you click them in, so you know when you're upshifting or downshifting. The quality of the wheel is actually really good as well. As you can see on the front, we've got the carbon fiber faceplate with the aluminium pedals on the back, with the rubber grips actually really nice to hold on to, and the rest of it is a good quality plastic as well. And if you use the F1 games, then you should by default have a few extra on-screen layouts on your wheel to show the information that displays on the F1 games. My favourite part of the wheel are both the rotary dials by the thumbs on this wheel. Super easy to use, especially when it comes to brake bias. All you got to do is flick it up and down and you can adjust your brake bias on the go. Same with the other one if you assign it to a fuel map, for example. Really useful. Right, so we're going to get out there and do a little bit of driving. And we have a few buttons assigned similar to the standard TGT2 wheel rim, there's a few dials that are assigned to the different adjustable options like the brake bias and traction control. We have the bottom left one that goes to the traction control, and I believe it's the top right one by your thumb that goes to the brake bias. Because I'm in time trial, it doesn't show up, but I think it's the top left dial that does the fuel map. They're really easy to access, like especially the two by your thumbs, you just flick them up and down, or the two at the bottom, you just quickly grab them and give them a twist. They're not too light and cheap, they're actually got a bit of weight to the twist as well, so you know when you've clicked it in place. I actually ran a full-length Spanish Grand Prix on iRacing the other day with the F1 car there, and I used this wheel obviously, and it took the race quite well. The wheelbase warmed up a wee bit, didn't overheat, kept going, and the wheel was just very nice and comfortable to drive. My hands still felt fine after the race. Obviously I use gloves to help with the comfort of driving, especially for long periods. My hands felt quite fine after using this wheel for over an hour. Now I can just change between screens with the flick of a switch, and there we go. We can now, you might not be able to see it too well on the camera, but I've got the RPM showing on the screen now with an additional set of rev lights coming up now as well. And Gran Turismo doesn't provide a huge amount of its data. In some PC sims you'll see a lot more of the data on the wheel's screen, but for now we've just got the more basic stuff on Gran Turismo like the RPM, the speed, and as I may have said before with the F1 games, you get a bit more info directly from the game displayed on the wheel as well. And all the buttons themselves are also quite weighty, I've noticed. When I was in the main menu, I'm finding myself to have to actually press kind of hard on what would effectively be the X button, and the same if I want to press back, which I think is the circle button. You get used to it after some time. Just nice, heavy, good quality buttons to press. And unfortunately with Gran Turismo 7, you don't really get manual pit stop, so you don't get to make much use of the big pit stop button on the top right there. Both the big buttons on the top right and the top left there are for indicating, so they will just activate indicators. And if you're into actively changing your brake bias, well then it's super easy. You just rotate the button by your thumb, you bring it back a bit, go through the corner, push it forward a few ticks and you're back to neutral. Come into the corner, you want to quickly push it forward, then you can do that. Coming out the corner, you can put it back to neutral for whatever reasons. There you go. And one of the final things I might point out is that when you spin, you've got to be a little bit careful, because with the shape of the rim, it might knock your hand. So if you get a bit of oversteer, watch the way the wheel flicks around. It's like a swinging hammer, so you kind of want to move your hands out the way when you start spinning out. So that's the Thrustmaster SF1000 edition steering wheel rim for the Thrustmaster T-Series wheelbases, and when you're not using it, it's a really nice showpiece, so having it hanging on your shelf looks amazing. I'm sure anyone who walks into your house and sees it will be really impressed. But for now, again, a big thanks to NZGaming for providing me this so I can make the review and the videos with this equipment. I really enjoyed using this equipment, especially with this new wheel rim when I did the full-length Grand Prix race the other day. That was awesome. Really immersive experience. That's probably the biggest thing you get out of this wheel, is the immersion, especially when you're racing F1 cars. It really feels like you're doing it. But also perfectly fine for GT racing. It might not be your go-to if you're going to do drifting though, or maybe even rally as well. And one final thing I might point out is the actual size of the wheel rim is almost exactly the same as the original, the standard TGT2 wheel rim. The hand position is almost identical. Anyway, thanks all for watching. Make sure to check out NZGaming if you're from New Zealand and you want to pick up some sim racing gear or gaming equipment. Catch you guys in the next video.